If you think balcony gardening has to shut down when the temperatures drop, think again. Right now, while most people are giving up on their outdoor spaces, you can be planting 5 incredible cold weather vegetables that actually prefer the chill. These are crops that not only survive winter on a balcony, they get sweeter, more flavorful, and honestly, even easier to grow when it's cold. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 cold weather vegetables you can plant on your balcony now, so you can keep harvesting fresh food all winter long. I'm gardening on a small balcony in a cold climate, where we've already had some frosty nights. My summer tomatoes and peppers are gone, but my cold weather containers are just getting started. If you've got even a tiny balcony or patio and a few containers, you can do this too. You don't need a yard, you don't need a greenhouse, and you definitely don't need perfect weather. You just need to pick the right plants. Let's jump into the first one. The first cold weather vegetable you should be planting right now is kale. If you've only ever grown or eaten kale in summer, you have not met winter kale yet. This is one of the toughest, most forgiving plants you can grow on a balcony. Kale can handle frost, light snow, and temperatures that would absolutely destroy most summer crops. And the best part? The cold actually makes it taste better. When kale gets hit with frost, something amazing happens. The plant responds to the cold by converting some of its starches into sugars. That means those leaves that might taste a little bitter in summer become much sweeter and more tender in cold weather. Winter kale is perfect for salads, smoothies, and sautés, and it's way more flavorful than most of what you'll find in a grocery store. On a balcony, kale does really well in containers that are at least 6 to 8 inches deep. The pots don't have to be huge, but they do need to have good drainage. In winter, roots sitting in cold, soggy soil can rot, so make sure your containers have drainage holes and that water can escape easily. I like to use a high-quality potting mix, not garden soil, so it stays loose and drains well. Give your kale the sunniest spot on your balcony. Even in winter, a few hours of direct sun will keep it growing. If your balcony is windy, tuck your kale close to a wall or railing for a little extra protection. You can start with seeds or small transplants. Once the plants are a few inches tall, you can start harvesting by picking the outer leaves and leaving the center to keep growing. 1 or 2 kale plants can give you continuous harvests for months. The second cold weather vegetable to plant now is spinach. Spinach might be the ultimate winter balcony crop. It loves cool temperatures and can handle light frosts with no problem. In fact, spinach can survive colder conditions than many people realize, especially once it's had time to establish its roots. One of the great things about spinach is that it doesn't need deep soil. A container that's 4 to 6 inches deep is plenty, which makes it perfect for shallow balcony planters, railing boxes, or even smaller pots. That means even if you're working with really limited space, you can almost always find room for a little spinach. Spinach also does surprisingly well with less than ideal winter light. If your balcony only gets a few hours of sun in the colder months, spinach will still grow. It might grow more slowly than it would in spring, but it will keep putting out leaves. In winter, slow and steady growth is exactly what we want. To plant spinach, just scatter the seeds over the surface of your container and cover them lightly with about a 1/4 inch of soil. Keep the soil consistently moist while the seeds are germinating. Once the seedlings are a couple of inches tall, thin them so there's about 3 inches between each plant. You can eat the thinnings as baby greens, so nothing is wasted. The key with spinach is moisture balance. You don't want it to dry out completely, but you also don't want soggy soil. Aim for evenly moist. When it comes time to harvest, you can either pick individual outer leaves or cut whole plants and let others keep growing. Frost-kissed spinach leaves are especially tender and sweet, and they're perfect for salads when most fresh produce is coming from far away. If you're finding these balcony-friendly ideas helpful so far, this is a great time to tap the like button so YouTube knows to show this to more small-space gardeners. And if you're dreaming of turning your own balcony into a year-round garden oasis, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the upcoming videos on winter balcony setups, containers, and easy harvests. Alright, let's keep going with the next cold weather crop. The third cold weather vegetable I recommend you plant on your balcony now is carrots. Carrots are one of those crops that become absolutely magical in cold weather. A good frost triggers them to convert starch into sugar, which means winter carrots can be incredibly sweet and flavorful. If you've never pulled up a carrot from a cold container and tasted it right away, you're in for a treat. Carrots do have one big requirement: Depth. Unlike kale and spinach, carrots need a deeper container so their roots can develop properly. Aim for at least 10 to 12 inches of soil depth. If your container is shallower, choose a shorter carrot variety that's bred for containers or small spaces. Fill your pot with a loose, stone-free potting mix. Carrots don't like compacted soil or big chunks that can cause them to fork or grow in strange shapes. Sow the seeds thinly on the surface, cover them lightly, and keep the soil moist until they germinate. Carrot seeds can be a little slow and fussy, so be patient. Once the seedlings are up, thin them so there's enough space between plants for the roots to develop. The beautiful thing about growing carrots in containers on a balcony is control. You're not dealing with heavy, cold garden soil. Your container will warm up a bit faster in the sun, and you can move it slightly if you need to. As the weather gets colder, you can even add a light layer of mulch on top of the soil to insulate the roots. Our fourth cold weather vegetable is broccoli. You know, broccoli might not be the first plant you think of for a small balcony, but it can absolutely work in containers, and it really loves cool weather. In fact, broccoli really struggles in summer heat, but in cool and cold conditions, it's much happier. For broccoli, you'll want to choose a container that's at least 8 to 10 inches deep and wide enough for each plant to have some space. Broccoli has a bigger footprint than something like spinach, so you won't be cramming lots of plants into one pot. Even just 1 or 2 well-grown broccoli plants in containers can still give you a surprisingly nice harvest. Start with healthy seedlings if you want a faster head start. Place them in your sunniest balcony spot, because broccoli appreciates as much light as it can get, especially in winter. The plant will form one main central head first. Once you harvest that main head, don't pull up the plant. Just leave it in the container, and it will often send out multiple smaller side shoots that you can keep harvesting. Broccoli can tolerate light frosts, and in cooler weather it tends to form tighter, more flavorful heads. Just like with the other container crops, good drainage is essential. Use a rich, well-draining potting mix, and don't let the container sit in standing water. A layer of mulch around the base of the plant can help protect the roots from temperature swings on an exposed balcony. Finally, the fifth cold weather vegetable to plant on your balcony now is parsley. Technically, parsley is an herb, but in winter I treat it like a leafy green vegetable because of how useful and productive it is. Parsley is far tougher than it looks. Once established, it can handle cold weather, and in many climates it will survive through winter and regrow in spring. Parsley is perfect for balcony gardeners because it doesn't need a huge pot. A container 6 to 8 inches deep is plenty, and you can tuck parsley into little open spaces next to your other plants. It prefers cool conditions, and the flavor of the leaves stays fresh and bright in cold weather. You can start parsley from seed, but honestly, it can be a bit slow to germinate. If you want quicker results, just pick up a small plant and pot it up into your balcony container. Make sure to place it where it gets at least some sun each day. It doesn't need full blasting sun to do well, especially in the cooler months. The great thing about parsley in winter is how versatile it is. When other crops are limited, you can just walk out onto your balcony and grab a handful of fresh green flavor to add to soups, stews, roasted vegetables, and salads. To harvest it, simply cut the outer stems near the base, and the plant will keep sending up new growth from the center. It's honestly such a handy herb to have around. So those are the 5 cold weather vegetables I recommend you plant on your balcony right now. Kale, spinach, carrots, broccoli, and parsley. Together they give you a mix of leafy greens, roots, and fresh herbs that can keep your meals vibrant and homegrown, even when the weather is cold and gray. If your balcony looks a little empty after clearing out your summer plants, this is the perfect time to reset your containers and try these winter-friendly crops. You don't need to plant all 5 at once. Even choosing 1 or 2 to start with can make a big difference. The key is not being afraid of the cold. With the right plants and a few containers, your balcony can stay productive long after most people have given up on their gardens. If you want to see how I transformed my own frozen balcony into a cozy winter garden full of life and food, make sure you check out my other video after this one. And if you're into small space, balcony-friendly gardening, give us a like and hit subscribe so you don't miss the next tips and transformations. Your balcony can be a garden, even in winter. You just have to plant the right things, and the best time to start is right now.